Welcome back to the channel. It's me, your pal Sal. Now sit on down because today we're doing a deep dive into the entire history of rhythm games. Rhythm games have a very near and dear place in my heart. It's something that I have loved since I was a child. I've always had an affinity for music, and I've definitely always had an affinity for games. You can tell just by looking at my channel. So it's a no-brainer that combining these two things that I absolutely love would create an absolute obsession. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily great at rhythm games. I've seen the crackheads that are out there, but it's definitely something that I enjoy and one of my favorite genres out of the entire gaming landscape. And if you're watching this video, you are most likely the same, or you are just a nerd and you want to learn, and I respect it. Rhythm games have been around since the genesis of games. It's as far back as you can remember, music and games have been intertwined. Even if it's not necessarily a rhythm game, music and games are married. You can't have a beautiful 10 out of 10 game without a score. Some really iconic scores can make or break a game. Like Minecraft's score is one of the most iconic things in existence, I have to say, honestly. Undertale, the music in that game has outlived the actual game itself. Even Elden Ring's music is top tier. So with music being so pertinent to gaming, it only makes sense that this genre would rise in popularity pretty quickly. But you know what else was really popular along with music back in the day? That's right, dancing pretty popular, which will lead me directly into our first game. We're going all the way back to the 80s for this one, 1987. Technically the first ever rhythm game. You can debate me on it. Dance Aerobics by Human Entertainment for the NES back in 1987 for Japan and 1989 for North America. Dance Aerobics utilized a dance pad with different spots to stand on depending on the game mode or difficulty of the game that you were playing. That's right, this game even had difficulty and classes for you to enroll in. The game's scoring system worked by starting you off at 100, and any mistakes that you would make would deduct points from your overall score, leaving whatever is left as your final point. Even though Dance Aerobics isn't a traditional e-game, this is still considered by a large majority as the first true rhythm game. I am one of those people, so I'm putting it here. However, those that beg to differ would probably point at something like the first electronic rhythm game, which just so happens to be the very next game, so let's get into that. Released in 1996 for Japan, and then the rest of the world a year later for the original PlayStation, we have Parappa The Rapper. Japan was really a pioneer of this genre, it seems. At the time of its release, it was widely praised for its unique style and story, although it being short with not much content was a bummer. 2001 was an exciting year as we got a sequel to this game, as well as a very stupid Australian guy and, other things. Luckily, I had the chance to play this game on a browser as it's readily available for everyone watching this to go play, so I'll chuck that in the link in the description if you want to go check it out. So let's run through how this game works. The game opens into this absolutely terrifying opening cutscene of some bowling alley animation looking ass scene. It feels not right. It's uncanny as fuck. Even the audio itself feels super unnerving and like it's not real. I feel like I'm in a dream. Getting into the actual meat and potatoes of the game, we follow our main character as his friends and him go out to get food. It's very evident that our character wants to bang this sun girl, based as however, while they're eating, they start getting harassed by some no good punks. FYI, the voice acting in this game is beyond goofy as shit, but low-key, it kind of I love it.
What do we have here? Plenty of munchies for everyone, right? Yeah.
Out of nowhere, this superhero comes out to save them. I mean, alright, I guess. And by just absolutely yapping their ears off to the point of great discomfort, the group has a chance to get the f out of there. So if that's all it takes, then god damn it, I'm the world's greatest hero. Call me All Might. This somehow inspires our main character to want to become a hero too, getting real My Hero vibes here. Not gonna lie, I see the vision. So, to become a hero, he ventures to a dojo with a very racially insensitive Asian stereotype of some onion guy. I have no clue who he's meant to be. To help train him to become a hero and throw us into the tutorial. The gameplay is exactly what you would expect. You got 4 different buttons and you press them as they show up on your screen to perform actions like punch, kick, block, or chop. This is already peak as your score varies from cool, good, bad, and awful. If your score drops all the way down to awful, you fail the stage. Oh no! Also, this Onion Man, low-key f***ing kills it at this rap. It goes hard as f***, I cannot lie.
It's gonna get rocky. We gonna move down to the next jockey now. Duck.
The gameplay on PC is beyond janky as shit, and the difficulty is sky high. Unless, of course, I'm just stupid and incompetent, but I assume that the port over to a browser was not great. So a fair warning, if you do go play this, don't expect amazing quality gaming here, unless you have a PS1. After training, you go out to eat ice cream with your friends and the sun baddie when suddenly the superhero from before pulls up in some cool-ass car offering to take you and your friends for a ride, but leaving you and the only other dude of the group in the back of the car while the girls sit in the front. Not creepy at all. These look like high schoolers and this is a grown-ass man. He then reverses the car into the fucking building and knocks you out completely. So of course, naturally, you have a dream about driving, so when you wake up, you decide to basically just go get your license so that you can impress the host too. What is the writing of this game? Yes, this leads into the next stage. Stage 2 takes place entirely during the driving test. And you guessed it, the rap, once again, goes fucking hard.
When I say boom, 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 you say bam, bam, bam. No pause in between. Come on, let's jam.
Of course, it ends with you getting your license, which then moves you on to now having your license. You pull up to your friend's crib to flex. You take them and the sun girl out for a drive, and of course, while you're driving, you start daydreaming about going on a date with this goddamn sun girl. Holy shit, this man needs some pussy ASAP. And while daydreaming, he drives headfirst into a fucking truck with a face on it. Okay, didn't realize we're in the Thomas the Tank Engine universe. This crash launches him into fucking space and then back down, shattering the car into pieces. Of course, after such a horrific crash, his first thought is, how am I going to afford to fix this car? Yeah, don't worry about the life-ending crash you just put your crush through. So of course he goes to some lizard guy to help him sell shit at a market. How do they do this? Well, by dancing, of course. So yeah, stage 3, that's third stage. And yes, again, the rap, it's every time. It's so good.
Got the funky flow.
Got the funk flow.
All you ever need is to be nice and friendly.
These hijinks continue for at least like 40 minutes worth of gameplay, and in case you're wondering, it does end with a giant concert with all the characters that you met while playing, and it implies at the end that you get the girl, so yeah, horny dog for the win, I guess. Very exciting stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I had a great time playing this. It is very fun, although janky as shit. If you want to give this a go, try it. It is difficult, but if you can get past that learning curve, it's a pretty good time. Look, it's no surprise, physical media is what dominated early rhythm games, mostly gaming in general, especially with the arcade era. And besides the very uncool white picket fence, like short-haired mum game of Dance Aerobics, because let's be real, that's the only people that were playing that, we had something a lot cooler coming to arcades in the late 90s. Specifically in 1997, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we were introduced to Beatmania. Developed by Konami, Beatmania was a massive success both in Japan and North America. Although some versions of Beatmania would later be produced for home consoles like the PS2 in 2006, Beatmania primarily was still mostly known as a very exciting arcade machine, in which you would be given 5 buttons on a DJ looking kind of setup and required to press the associated button displayed on the screen on time to, well, you know, the beat. You know, like most rhythm games. Look, I know this all seems super obvious so far, but god damn it, we're still in the 1900s. This is the same century that invented the toaster, so let's just be patient. Similarly to Parappa The Rapper, Beatmania also has different difficulties. You've got a free mode, a practice mode, but unlike Parappa The Rapper, Beatmania had 13 fucking releases, and possibly a lot more that I don't know about. I mean, holy shit, that's too many. And although Beatmania did really well, it even won a Guinness World Record for the most popular DJ simulation arcade game, which is such a niche award. Who gives a shit? It did really well in sales. There's a reason that these were around so much and why so many variations of these came out. People wanted more. But, ladies and gentlemen, Beatmania wasn't the only physical rhythm game of its time. No. Of course not. Because Unk gets something bigger was coming. The Suits saw the absolute love for the physical rhythm games, and they thought, How are we gonna capitalize on this? And I can't blame the unturned kids. Physical media is great. I love physical media. We should go back to caveman. We need more physical media. I am starting to collect some original Xbox games. I'm gonna be making a video soon about one of these games. Can you tell which one? It's a secret. You gotta look out for that. Of course, the physical media back then was a lot more physical. We're about to get into that. Don't worry. Getting back to the point at hand. Dance Revolution. Do you remember this? Because I'm pretty sure even 12-year-olds know what this is. And their brains are rotted to the point where I doubt they can even recognize what a fucking door handle is. Yes, I'm getting older by the video. Let me go into my unk stage. I've been here for a while. Not only is it one of the most recognizable arcade games of all time, it's one of the most recognizable games. Full stop. Even for those like myself that have never played it. I've never played DDR. I've never even played a game like it. I've seen it at an arcade, but I've never once played it. No way I'm gonna have the balls to do that. Are you kidding me? No. If you're somehow an alien that doesn't know what Dance Revolution is, it's time to get into that. Dance Revolution was released in 1998, developed by Beatmania, and again, published by Konami. God damn it, Konami really dominated this era. Unlike Beatmania, which uses your hands, this one uses your feet. I know there's freaks out there frothing at the mouth right now. Johnny, I'm looking at you. And like Dance Aerobics, the game has a gamepad on the ground, with 4 arrows pointing in different directions, and once these arrows pop up on screen, your objective is to move your feet to the correlated arrow, meaning to simulate dance. Hence the name, you know, kind of makes sense. Even to this day, I still get TikTok videos or reels of usually Asian people absolutely tearing it up on the dance pad at arcades. Asians just really got the moves. I know people say it's black people all the time, but no, it really is the Asians. Is that a racial stereotype? Yes. Am I right? Yes. Now, if I were on said dance pad, I'm sure I'd somehow end up face first into the screen and scarred on either side of my face, absolutely destroying any kid's childhood within a 20-meter radius, but I'm white. What do we expect? I shouldn't be dancing in the first place. DDR games are one of the few arcade games in history that have definitely kept their popularity and are still somewhat relevant to this day, which, in the current landscape of entertainment, is immensely impressive. Which explains why there are 42 mainline games in the DDR universe. Holy shit. I'm sure that there is more out there too, but even at 42, I'm horrified. Konami needs to calm the down. The PlayStation version sold 1.27 million units in Japan and over 135,000 units in the US for a combined 1.4 million units sold. And not only that, in 2022, the Strong Nation Museum of Play inducted Dance Revolution to its World Video Game Hall of Fame. So I think it's safe to say that DDR isn't only the most influential rhythm game, but it's gotta be at least top 15 most influential video games of all time. Full stop. I didn't even know there really was a gaming Hall of Fame. That's insane. And of course DDR's there. Why wouldn't it be? DDR is up there with the likes of Space Invaders and Pac-Man and Pong. I don't care what anyone says. Enough with the physical media and arcade games, however, we finally are diving deep into the electronic era. That's right, we're finally out of the 90s, we're into the 2000s, ladies and gentlemen. Specifically 2001, the greatest year of all time. Not only because I was born, but because it was also the birth of one of the greatest rhythm game companies of all time, a company that is still around and relevant to this day. That's right, we got the first ever release from Harmonix, Frequency. As said before, Frequency is developed by Harmonix and released in 2001. This was the developer's first ever title releasing for the PlayStation 2. Frequency was met with pretty favorable reviews. This would give them the publicity and the reputation they needed to make some, well, later entries that we're going to get into soon. Frequency even won GameSpot's annual Best Music and Rhythm Game of the Year award, so this was absolutely a breakout success for the team. But what even is Frequency, you so desperately ask from your Guna chair with a disgusting booger collection on the right hand side? Well, in the game, a player portrays a virtual avatar called a freak. See what they did there? It's pretty cute. It's pretty cute. I do love it. We need the whimsy back in our video games. The player travels down an octagonal tunnel. That's a fun word to say. With each wall containing a musical track. These tracks contain sequences of notes in which your objective is to hit buttons corresponding to the note placement on said track. Nothing we ever seen before, but there is a unique twist on it. Literally. The constant twisting and turning of the game, yes, although nauseating, was indeed a unique and interesting mechanic to implement, and I absolutely love it for that. I am sorry, I'm having a stroke. The type of creativity and risks that we just don't see often these days, and honestly, we need to bring that back. The overall vibe of this game perfectly encapsulates the 2000s. This game is me. I am this game. We are one. Another cool feature available to the player were remixes. Frequency allowed players to create remixes of any of the songs in said game, while the player was limited to the instruments and structure of the song. The remix could include different melodies or beat lines, change in tempo, and modulation of the sound of an instrument. Remixes could then be saved and played as normal songs. Although no high scores records were kept, Frequency also was one of the first games to be supported by the PlayStation 2 network adapter, meaning players could trade remix songs, which is one of the coolest and unique things I've ever heard of a game around this time period. Of course, this success would only lead Harmonix to possibly one of their biggest, not even possibly, most definitely their biggest title ever. Something that changed the gaming landscape and possibly history, honestly, at this point. Of course, we're talking about the one and the only Guitar Hero, released in 2005 and developed by Harmonix. North America finally hitting their stride in the rhythm game area. No longer Japan being the only dominators of rhythm games. The game uses a custom guitar-shaped controller, introducing the world to instrumental controllers, something that is still used to this day. The gameplay is exactly what you expect. You hit the colored button as it shows up on the screen with the corresponding colored button on your controller. Guitar Hero is literally just Parappa the Rapper, but with a physical guitar controller, and even down to like getting a low score forcing you into a lose state, it is the exact same game. However, Guitar Hero, unlike Parappa the Rapper, is one of the most influential games of all time, full stop. The franchise accumulating over 2 billion in sales. God damn! With over 30 total Guitar Hero games, it is no surprise at all that this franchise has widespread appeal. Even my first Guitar Hero game was on the DS, Guitar Hero on Tour, utilizing an attachment to the DS in order to play the chords. I was obsessed with this game. I remember playing it in the back of my parents' car or at my cousin's place while they were in the corner doing no worries though. I'm busy absolutely shredding it. Guitar Hero is what got me into rock and roll. I love this game. Obviously, Guitar Hero has evolved over the years. We've ended up getting drum controllers, mic controllers, piano controllers, etc. Although Guitar Hero was not the one to actually introduce this, that is our next entry. We'll get into that in a bit. Be patient, goddammit. Guitar Hero also utilizes some absolutely banging soundtracks from some of the greatest artists of all time, like Ozzy Osbourne, Jimi Hendrix, and Black Sabbath. So it's no wonder why this became one of the biggest games of all time. Nowadays, the most common Guitar Hero players that you see are the sweatiest, filthiest little gremlins that absolutely shred at this game and will horrify any prospecting casual players and scare them away to the sunset. Because what do you mean you can move like this? No, you can't. You were lying, or you're an alien. You are not real. Although Guitar Hero used to be a cultural juggernaut, nowadays it's a much more niche hobby and still has a dedicated but much smaller community around it. However, it's very obviously a lot more culturally relevant than our next topic. Rockband, also developed by Harmonix in 2007, is essentially the exact same game as Guitar Hero. However, this is the game that introduced different instrument controllers, like we said before. Come on, keep up. Stop watching me on that second monitor. I know. I see you. Rockband allowed simultaneous play with 4 players all playing different instruments to create a true band. Some might even say a rock band. This at the time was absolutely revolutionary. Not only that, but Rock Band also had 2,000 downloadable songs in addition to the original 50 on the game disc, making the song choice already so vastly diverse compared to the original 2 Guitar Hero games. Since the game's initial release, players have created over 100 million downloadable songs for Rock Band. This only goes to show how immensely successful this title was at the time and how immensely dedicated its niche community still is. Despite Rock Band winning multiple Game of the Year awards and still cultivating a cult following to this day, compared to its counterpart, Guitar Hero, we just can't say that it holds up. At least in cultural staying power, it just doesn't compare. That's not to say that Rock Band doesn't still have immense pull when it comes to the rhythm game market. It does. But comparative to something like Guitar Hero, when you're talking about rhythm games, it's not going to get brought up nearly as much. Personally, the only thing I remember from Rock Band, I think it's Rock Band, was me playing Barbie Girl with my kid cousins. So they were good for something, I guess. And yes, I was shredding it on the mic, but that's just because I'm Bonita as f. That's about all I have to say for this one. It's just an improved Guitar Hero. They implemented a few new things. That's about it. Anyways, next entry. And our next one is an interesting one. It's a game that I thought was a lot newer than it is. I didn't realize that this came out in 2007. And unless you're a big fan of this game, I assume you wouldn't know this either. So let's learn about this together. Osu. Yes, Osu was originally made in 2007 and self-published by Australian developer Dean Herbert. I was unaware that an Australian made this absolute abomination, but I apologize on behalf of all of us. The game was inspired by a very similar one, even by the name Osu Atake Ondan. I fucking butchered that. Even the gameplay is the exact same. Speaking of gameplay, Osu consists of using your mouse to click and drag notes in a specific time frame and pattern to match the beat of the music. I tried this for myself for the first time for this video, and I refuse to show footage of that because I massively underestimated this game. I sucked fat ass. So I'm sure the game is actually good, but I am suffering a severe skill issue. Osu has player custom levels and songs that allow the creator to change the speed and circle size to make for harder, challenging gameplay. All games with a custom level feature like this obviously always lead to some hell on earth levels, and with that, some absolute demons that can beat them. This is what popularized the game and led to its longevity and why it's still considered a top 3 rhythm game to this day. As of July of 2025, the game still has about 20,000 daily active users and 30 million accounts. Damn! The game has a significant connection to Japanese culture and anime otaku music, so you know, Discord mod shit. It also has actually had effects on the esports scene, as professional gamers will use Osu as an aim trainer to warm up and practice, which, if you've seen gameplay of Osu, it makes total sense. I mean, just look at the background footage. From my own knowledge, I think Osu is one of, if not the only rhythm game that really uses the mouse instead of actual keybinds. I'm pretty sure that that's why the game was so hard for me, because I'm not used to having to use my mouse like that. There's a lot more room for error. But you know what isn't difficult for me and the rest of the black community? Well, that'll be our next game, Just Dance. Just Dance, released in 2009 and developed by Ubisoft Paris. That's right, UbiCuck has entered the scene, took advantage of the Wii's unique controller to simulate dance. Essentially, the game would display a character on screen dancing to the beat of a song, and while holding the controller with the damn safety strap on so you don't fling it into your sibling's skull, your job would be to either perfectly simulate said dance in a beautiful, flawless manner, or if you're a piece of shit, just move the controller around in a certain pattern while sitting down because you are devoid of any whimsy in your life. Fuck you if this was you, you suck. Just Dance is basically the game for family fun, especially at the time, catering to a more casual audience and creating some of the most violent fistfights between siblings. Just Dance raked in 4.3 million copies worldwide, establishing a franchise that, as of November of 2024, had collectively sold over 90 million units, making it Ubisoft's second largest franchise. Although in recent times, I think it's safe to say no one gives a shit about Just Dance anymore. The last one I remember was 2014 Just Dance. That shit slapped. That's also where my love of, girly pop and Lady Gaga came from. Speaking of the songs, I'm sure Just Dance stacked playlists helped significantly push the game's success. You've got some bangers like Cotton Eye Joe, Who Let the Dogs Out, and I Like to Move It just from the first entry. This shit was destined to succeed. Interestingly enough, the concept of Just Dance originated from a minigame developed for inclusion in the Rayman Raving Rabbids series. Something I'm just now learning because what the fuck? What do you mean Rabbids inspired Just Dance? I used to love Rabbids. They were basically the original Minions. God, they fucking sucked. They really did, but I loved them. Of course, it wasn't just Rabbids that inspired them. It was also Dance Dance Revolution. Who would have guessed? Ironically, despite all of its success today and it being a household name at this point, it was not received very well at all by critics. In fact, IGN only gave it a 2 out of 10 and Metacritic with a 49 out of 100. Despite the negative reviews, of course the game still became a huge commercial success. This is once again proving that game journalists are the most useless scum on earth, and we got to do away with them. This isn't like an unknown phenomenon, however, because this has happened quite a few times. In fact, our next entry also got pretty mediocre reviews, but became one of the most best-selling mobile games of all time. Of course, we're jumping into 2013 with the iconic game Geometry Dash. That's right, although Geometry Dash didn't receive negative reviews like Just Dance did, it did in fact receive mixed reviews. Some praising its art style and music, others criticizing it for its difficulty, so that just sounds like a skill issue really. Those who have been around my channel at all really know that I love Geometry Dash. It's one of my all-time favorite games, so of course I had added here despite some or even a lot of the community not considering this as an actual rhythm game. However, both Steam and a ton of other critic and journalist websites refer to it as a platform rhythm game, so I'm just going to count it. Although the game doesn't feature typical tap-on-beat formula like every other rhythm game may, the gameplay forces you to move sideways at all times and jump when needed to avoid obstacles and navigate your way through the level. If you die, there are no checkpoints and you go back to the start. Although there is a practice mode, which is nice and does in fact allow checkpoints, so that people that aren't so good at games, like my girlfriend, can actually enjoy it. With so many different level difficulties, ranging from automatic all the way to extreme demon, you can easily find your skill level within this, and the skill ceiling in this game is very similar to Osu. It seems unlimited, as Geometry Dash also features the player custom levels, which, yes, you guessed it, did also create some horrific abominations like Orbit or Flame Wall, and some unhuman people like Zoink absolutely just demolish these levels like they're nothing. I know you're not human, Zoink. I'm onto you. You can't hide forever. The developer of Geometry Dash, RobTop, was clearly inspired by the Impossible game released 4 years prior to Geometry Dash's 2013 release, as just by looking at the two, you can easily tell that Geometry Dash is pretty much just a polished and perfected version of an Impossible game. The game also features unique features like the ship, gravity ball, wave, and UFO that are all different game modes to help spice up its gameplay. The wave being the most infamous for its frequent use in demon levels, because this shit is insane. Not only does Geometry Dash vary in game modes, songs, levels, and icon customization, Geometry Dash actually has multiple spin-offs, including the free GD Lite version, Geometry Dash Meltdown, Geometry Dash Sub-Zero, and Geometry Dash World. All of these with varying degrees of success, none of which compared to the gigantian behemoth of a game Geometry Dash became for the mobile space. It's up there with the likes of Angry Birds, Clash of Clans, and Subway Surfers. Geometry Dash is not only a powerhouse, but it's number 3 on the top paid games of all time for iOS. It had reached nearly 80 million downloads by 2018, and in the last 8 years, it has only continued to grow in popularity, especially with the most recent update and TikTok helping boost its popularity. I'm sure they're sitting at well over 150 million at this point. I could probably blabber about Geometry Dash forever if you let me. I could probably make an entire 30-minute dedicated video just for this. But we do have another 13 years to cover, so we gotta move on. Unfortunately, we're not quite moving out of the mobile game hellscape. We're diving into yet another mobile game that was immensely popular. Releasing only 1 year after Geometry Dash, we have Piano Tiles. Piano Tiles, I'm sure most of you have played at some point in your life, especially your parents or your mother at some point, I guarantee. Even to this day, there's so many ripoffs that remain relevant. Although these ripoffs are mostly filled with battle passes and microtransactions out the wazoo, they did feature actual songs, which is nice. The Piano Tiles doesn't. Unfortunately, we're no longer in that time period where life was good and I didn't want to kill myself. Enough of that, let's get into Piano Tiles. What was all that? What was all the hoopla about? Released in 2014 by the developers Umoni Studio, the game worked almost like a mobile version of something like Guitar Hero. Of course, adopting a piano aesthetic, the gameplay was much the same. Hit the black squares as they come, avoiding the white squares. Police would have loved this game. Although the game didn't feature actual songs or classic scoring systems like a lot of other rhythm games, later iterations and spin-offs certainly did. The game contains 6 modes: Classic, Arcade, Zen, Rush, Arcade Plus, and Relay. To be honest, there's like nothing to really talk about with this game. I just thought I'd include it here because it's a popular mobile rhythm game. Might as well. Plus, I'm sure I would have gotten comments about it if I hadn't included it. So, however, we're moving on to a much more significant game to the rhythm game space and VR in general. We're talking about Beat Saber. Released in 2019, Beat Saber broke into the VR world with its massive out ready to f anything else that dared to try come even close to its success. To this day, Beat Saber is still the most popular VR game out there. Besides maybe something like VR Chat, but that shit's for gooners, so who gives a shit at them. Developed by Beat Games, a very fitting name, Beat Saber would go on to not only receive raving reviews, but also win multiple awards from the likes of Gamer's Choice, Golden Joystick, and Steam Awards for VR Game of the Year. Beat Saber features the player holding a blue and red lightsaber and having to hit the corresponding covered titles as they come at you. Some of these also have directions on them that you have to specifically hit, whereas some are just dots, you can hit them from any direction. You also have to avoid bombs and red walls, forcing the player not only to swing their arms around in a spastic pattern, but also move their head and body to avoid the obstacles. This makes for an extremely immersive and honestly exhausting gameplay. I only played this game back when I was a tubby chubby cheesecake lover, so maybe it's not actually as exhausting as I remember, but god damn, I remember being absolutely dead after playing this for like only 30 minutes. Although I remember not wanting to stop because I was having the most fun I've ever had in a game in so long. This is the game that still makes me want to get a VR to this day. Despite having its own custom music and utilizing music from Monster Cat, we love Monster Cat, they absolutely The game of course also features custom made levels by players and the ability to port in any song you like via the internet, from Slipknot to Miku, whatever you desire. They have also partnered with artists too, like Metallica, to drop official DLCs, but these are stupid expensive, so f that. By February of 2021, the game has sold over 4 million copies and 40 million songs have been sold through the DLC. Holy shit. However, just like Beat Saber, our next topic also uses the player created levels to say relevant years after its launch. That's right, we're talking about the absolutely iconic game, Friday Night Funkin'. 2020, the year of our beautiful lockdown. The year of graduates that won't shut the f up about how they didn't get a graduation. The year of Minecraft servers, Roblox predators and e-girls. And of course the birth of Friday Night Funkin'. Developed by the Funkin Crew Inc., the demo was released on Newgrounds in 2020, originally made as a game jam entry and very quickly blew up amongst the rhythm community and beyond. Rhythm Night Funkin' revolves around the player character Boyfriend, who must defeat a variety of opponents in singing and rapping contests to continue dating his love interest girlfriend. I know, very creative character names. Gameplay involves hitting notes with timed inputs while avoiding running out of health for the duration of the song. With about 20-ish main levels in the game as far as I remember, the game also features a ton of popular custom levels from the player base, showing off their really cool, unique, and sometimes cringe OCs, helped by the game being open source, which is cool as hell. The music in this game is some of my favorite in any of these. The Vocaloid style is especially cool, especially bland. I used to unironically play this all the time in my playlist. I too was one with the cringe of 2020. None of us truly escaped it. We were cringe, but god damn it, we were free. There's not too much to say about this one. The style and the vibe of Friday Night Funkin' is iconic as shit. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've played Friday Night Funkin', so I'm not gonna yap too long about it. However, if you haven't played Friday Night Funkin', what are you doing with it? Go play it right now. You're on crack. It's free on Newgrounds still, so you have no excuse. Next entry. Developed in 2020 by the Outsiders, Metal Hellsinger is one of the games that inspired me to make this video. Not a lot of my friends have heard about this game, so I'm putting it here for those of you that aren't aware of it. It's an FPS rhythm game, something fairly unique in the space. It takes the gameplay of Doom and makes you shoot to the BPM of metal music playing in the background with a variety of different weapons. Shooting on time consecutively allows more damage, and the higher your multiplier, the more instrumentals come into the music, making it progressively more and more intense depending on how well you do. If you like boomer shooters, you're gonna love this, even if you aren't massively into rhythm games. Despite the game having phenomenal soundtracks they made themselves, some of these songs currently in my playlist, they of course had DLC as well, with the songs from Gorillaz, Muse, and Paramore. With a total of 4 DLC music packs, you got a variety of choices. Unfortunately, as of 2025, the studio was shut down, which is horseshit. You Funcom, you suck. This is despite the game gaining high praise from both critics and players alike, even winning Best Music Award from Golden Joysticks and New York Game Awards, as well as being nominated for many others, even being nominated for Best Soundtrack by the Game Awards. The game even sold more than 1 million copies, so not sure why they were shut down. The game was clearly a massive success. If you're looking for a new game to play that has a unique blend of boomer shooter and rhythm, a crazy soundtrack, classic hell theme, and a pretty good story with potential, while being able to do all of this to I Love It by Charlie XCX. I can't recommend this enough. There's also a VR version of this, but I'm not quite sure of the quality of this game myself, so the Steam reviews are mixed. Buy this at your own risk. Funnily enough, the developers of our next game were also shut down for complete bullshit reason, despite the game being massively successful. Released in 2023, we have Hifi Rush. Oh, Hifi Rush, my beautiful, sweet boy. You truly did deserve better. Yet another studio relentlessly shot down by the suits above for seemingly no reason. Tango Gameworks, the makers of The Evil Within, is no longer with us as of June 14th, 2024. This is insane, given the reception this game received, winning Best Sound Award from the Game Awards and awarded Best Music by New York Games and a ton of other nominations, not only for audio but even action and visual design. The game was also a commercial success, reaching over 2 million sales, which is wild for those who aren't aware. Similarly to Metal Hellsinger, you could attack on beat to the song in the background. However, instead of an FPS, this game was an action beat 'em up with a comic book style art direction that was unique for its time, and since then has been replicated plenty of times. In addition to the character action gameplay, the title features numerous rhythm-based mini-games that leverage the game's audio cues for the on-screen interactions and puzzles. The game's soundtrack also includes some absolute bangers from the likes of 9 Inch Nails. I won't speak too much about the story, as I'm telling all of you right now to go and play this immediately if you haven't. The biggest crime about all of this is that right before the studio's closure, they were pitching a sequel to Hifi Rush. We could have been blessed with 2 of these damn gems. Maybe now that Xbox has new management, we will see Hifi Rush return along with Tango Gameworks, but that is so far out of the realm of possibility, but a man can dream. Breaking news, I'm stupid. In my research, it seems that Hifi Rush has been picked back up by a different studio. They've been picked up by Krafton, so we're good. This was a while ago. I'm just behind, I guess. But moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, our next entry, Fortnite Festival. The polar opposites to Hifi Rush and Metal Hellsinger here. Fortnite, the game that refuses to ever die. That's right, they came out with a game mode, Fortnite Festival. Coming to the game in 2023, and the only reason I still have this thing damn installed, Fortnite Festival was added alongside Rocket Racing, which is also a lot of fun and one of my favorite car games of all time. Unfortunately, Rocket Racing gets no love, and I hate that, man. I hate it. Fortnite Festival has a shocking number of songs to it. However, there's no ability to upload your own custom songs. So you actually have to purchase the over 640 individual songs that Fortnite Festival provides. And yes, these rack up. They are expensive. However, they do feature some of the biggest artists on earth, like Billie Eilish, Bruno Mars, and Lady Gaga, all featuring in the Fortnite Festival's own unique battle pass. That's right. Why not, you know? The game's got 3 fucking battle passes. Wait, 4? No, it's got 4 battle passes. At least the last time I've checked. They might have added another one. Who knows? Upon release, the game was criticized quite a lot for being too similar to other rhythm games of the same genre and the price of individual songs, which is totally fair. The price gouging is so scummy. With future updates allowing instrument controllers like guitars, drums, pianos, and now mics, the game has garnered a dedicated and loyal following to the game mode, most of which don't even touch the Battle Royale, which I can't blame them. Despite some of the allegations of being too similar to Guitar Hero and copying them completely, a lot of these people don't seem to know that Fortnite Festival is literally developed by Harmonix, the same damn people that made Guitar Hero. Are you stupid? Which is why the game mode feels so good. And despite what everyone says out there, this is the new definitive rhythm game. I know Fortnite and Epic Games suck. We all hate them, and their monetization is horrendous. But damn, is this game mode itself so polished and perfected. Nothing slaps more than seeing Master Chief, Terrifier, Michelangelo, and Mr. Beast tearing it up to some Miku. Although the game mode, since initially releasing, has definitely seen a drop off in players and general interest, it does seem that Epic will continue pouring resources into this game mode, as the small but intense player base it does have is clearly making it profitable. Unfortunately, like I said, Rocket Racing getting none of this love. Someone out there, please for the love of God, tell me anyone out there plays this goddamn game mode. I cannot be the only one. Am I playing against bots? I actually haven't touched Fortnite in general in like a year, so I don't even know if it's still there. I don't know anymore. I might go back for the Tycoons. Fortnite Tycoons. Pretty good. We're getting off track. We got to get back into the final entry of the video. That's right, 2026 has seen the release of one of my most anticipated games of the year, Dead as Disco. Finally released in this year, 2026. I remember playtesting this game a while back and adoring it. And after buying it and playing it myself upon release, it is just as good as I remember. Featuring the same rhythm beat 'em up formula as Hifi Rush, but with a Batman Arkham twist on it, this game is so damn satisfying to play. It has its own music integrated into the game, but the best feature, of course, is again being able to download your own custom music to the game, custom set the BPM, and kick some ass to whatever you want. The art style of this game is gorgeous. I mean, just look at what's on your screen right now. And the game now features a storyline and different difficulties, which by playing earns you fans that can be spent to upgrade a hub area called the Lounge. The game isn't fully complete yet. There are still some more features to come, but with an insane 1 million wish list, they are for sure going to be following up on this. If you are looking for some of the most satisfying hand-to-hand combat around, full of pure vibes and swagger, I cannot recommend this game enough. Brain Jar Games, you've absolutely killed it. The company actually contains some veterans from the likes of EA and Telltale Games. I absolutely love seeing developers from bigger companies coming together to form a smaller one to create a passion project. And then that passion project being better than anything the big dogs could make. Although it's only available on Steam right now, it will be coming out on PlayStation 5, so if you're a console only, look out for that. I'm not sure if it's coming to Xbox. I haven't seen anything about that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of this video. It took a while. It was a lot of research. First time I actually wrote a script down. So I've put quite a bit of pussy grease into this one, so if you did enjoy, please like the video. Good lord, push this out. This was a lot of effort. Leave a comment. It always helps the algorithm. And if you enjoyed this, I would like to make more of this. More of these videos where I go through every single genre. I wanted to go through simulation games next. That could be fun. Look out for the final Flash Games video. That'll come out in the next month or two. It's coming eventually. A lot of things in the pipeline. So many things in such little time. I also don't know how to end videos. I'm struggling so hard. I'm going to go shit out of my ass. Everyone have a lovely day. I'm gonna go poo. Bye.